Shout out to Mui Pufok School. Do you hear me okay? Okay. This is a horror story set in contemporary rural Thailand. A story that goes back to the history of war that displaced the majority of Lao-speaking people to the Thai side of the Mekong River, especially Isan, or Northeastern region. It is a displacement whose effects can still be felt today, entangled in the occupation of Palestinian lands. Tens of thousands of Thai people, mostly Northeasterners, are currently agricultural hands there. A few dozen recently became casualties, a few dozen more hostages, and thousands of others have chosen to remain in order to keep making a living wage. The displacement is also linguistic. The word Isan was actually imposed to be the new name for the regional Lao dialect in Thai script. This story is written in that in-between language, which the author actually prefers to leave unnamed as the Southeast Asian language. As I read my translation, I'll segue a few times into the original. Without further ado, the story written by Jarupat Petcharawet is titled The Death of Nang Huang, or in the original, ความตายของนางเฮ Out in paddy fields, there was a crocodile bark tree with a knot that never ran dry. Although the liquid it discharged was solidified into a bead during the dry season, come the first rainfall, that eye-shaped knot, grown out of a score mark carved by great-grandpa Sabo Pa, would leak again. It had been leaking like that since forever, so they say. Back when the tree stood strong, kids herding water buffalo would drop by to pick and eat the clear, condensed bead for good fortune and good health in this life and the next. But today, there's not much good to be found in the paddy plot on which the crocodile bark tree stood, much less in the life circumstances of the heir to it, Nang Huang, who has fallen ill just because she ate a bead from the tree, wishing, like those kids, for good luck and for a good life. Her illness is severe. It might even be said she has one foot in the grave. 2 days before the onset of her symptoms, her husband was pestering her to have the tree removed. As he saw it, that tree might come crashing down on somebody once winter rolled in. Its brittle, rotting branches could snap and whack you on the knock. And if nothing else, it was taking direct sunlight away from the livestock. She was at first hesitant, remembering what her father used to say, never cut down this tree. But her husband's insistence prevailed. Plus, Ipa never let her in on the reason why. He didn't tell her any of the story. He loved her so much, too much, that he raised her like if she was a fragile egg that must be insulated from the world. Nang Huang married late in life, after her father had already passed, so she loved her man more than anything. In the end, she decided to go along with his wishes and had the tree chopped down. With the trunk lying on the ground, a bead caught her eye, reminded of the kids who used to come eat the sap and the talk of its benefits relayed by their parents. She decided to try it too in case those benefits would also be hers to enjoy. After the gummy bead had slid down her throat, her older brother Siton, livid, turned up to harangue her. Gazing at the felled tree, barely able to contain his fury, he bemoaned the coming cataclysm. This wasn't the first time he warned her. I told her. She didn't listen. And who she did listen to doesn't know jack shit about the history of Bong Woods. กูบอกแล้วไม่บอกฟังความเสียแต่ผัวผู้บ่เคยผู้ขี่ผู้ตนผู้พื้นแห่งดง Said Siton over puffs of tobacco to his other sister. He admitted that he was partly to blame. After Ipaw died, he had been caught up in farm work and neglect to look after Huang. He had assumed that she was all grown up and that Ipaw had already told her some of the backstory of the tree. The two of them have no idea that the crocodile bark tree harbors a curse in the eye-shaped knot, that whoever cuts it down will be doomed. มันสองคนบอกหูเลยว่าตาตนเสียเป็นสักจานคำสาปไว้ไผกาตัดโคนมันสีนี้อันเป็นไป Now I'll skip ahead to the backstory. Siton's ancestors were originally from Bong Woods. His father told him that great-grandpa Sabo Pa had fled war from the other side of the Mekong, that he dug wells and laid bricks for a new city on this bank. Under the leadership of Mother Cow, He joined up with people from all walks of life, from monks and nuns and novices to merchants, male and female, from villagers and townsfolk to paddy and orchard workers, from singers and storytellers to herb doctors and healers and more, for their exodus. Their city had fallen. Their feudal lords had been taken captive. Their fellow commoners were being corralled and carted to the lowlands to toil their lives away. Sacred sites had been looted, silver and gold seized. Mother Cow rallied her band of supporters to break through the phalanx of enemy soldiers and into uncharted territory in a bid for survival, or survival synonymous with the refusal to be anyone's slaves or subordinates. As their homeland disintegrated, the tears and blood of their people inundated the river. The metallic scent of death, utterly humiliating death, permeated the water, its turbid surface turning crimson. Vultures the size of water buffalo zigzagged in search of corpses felled by the blade. Nighttime echoed with the wails of people who had died unnatural deaths, of spirits now turned into starving ghouls looking for offerings of rice from the living. Their cries wormed into the ears of survivors, desperately looking for escape routes, depriving them of any respite. As they were preparing a caravan to the unknown, their hoped-for destination, a land full of grains and grains to harvest, of beasts to hunt and harness, of overflowing abundance that would leave no one hungry, they made rice offerings to the dead to preempt obstructions in the journey ahead. Gathered around Elder Tauprom, the people invited their kith and kin who had perished by spear and sword, by hand cannon, matchlock, and flintlock, to come, eat, and drink to their heart's content, and entrusted them in turn with protecting the caravan from harm. The elder then officiated a rite for the surviving soldiers and civilians, calling back their spirits from the wilderness and sprinkling their bodies with blessed water to restore their moral and physical health before their departure to the new kingdom of plenty. That night, Elder Tauprom inscribed a curse on palm leaves. He damned the invaders to a hellish existence, damned their homeland to a conflagration that will burn for 20,000 years. Once the elder finished writing, which took over 100 years, the manuscript was bound and flung into the Mekong to keep its contents secret, especially from their wicked foes. Then the war refugees began their trek downriver. Along the way, they ran into several enemy camps and faced a great many soldiers. Nonetheless, Mother Cow's caravan successfully fended them off and eventually put down roots in a riverside village, later established at the city of Kemeratan by the vassal king, Chalkan. The people lived in peace and happiness for many years to follow. That is, until Sa Guapa, the youngest grandchild, Elder Tauprom, and son of Sa Tipahot, the founder of Bongwood's village, spotted the palm leaf bundle floating down the Mekong.